Up next on Inspiring Beauty and Believers.
I started looking for that attention and that love and that physical touch from any woman. It didn't matter, So it's something that I need, but at the same point in time, it was something.
Welcome back to Inspiring Beauty and Believers. I am your host, Song, and today we are going to jump into a great discussion. It is called For the Love of Men. So I am so happy to have my guest here. I guess I will start to my left. Well, okay, that's opposite, but I'm gonna start over to the left. Okay, I'm pointing this way. I'm gonna start to the left. This is Demetrius over here, and then on the right, which is my left really right now, is my brother Jay. And then down below, we have Mike and Courtney. So some of these guys you've seen before in some of the videos, some of them are new, but all of them I'm really happy to have here with us because it's going to be a great discussion. So we're going to jump right into it. This month for June is Father's Day coming up. So I really want to have this conversation with men to really talk about what it is to love a man, how men love, and really the importance of having that father figure role in your life and the effects of not having one. So my first question actually is, since we're talking about for the love of men, a lot of people have heard about the love languages, the 5 love languages. Can any of you guys tell me what your love language is and how you feel like it has helped you to understand love in a better way?
Anybody can jump in.
Anybody can jump in.
For a long time, if I had to choose a love language, I really don't like that. I believe that we all can I think it's the words of affirmation, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that right there, words of affirmation. Since we're talking about dads and things of that nature like that, my dad didn't really give me encouraging words. So I believe getting older, I wanted to hear someone say something positive to me, mainly I love you.
Right.
And so that was like a drug for me almost. Really, if you told me you love me, you could have not even meant it, but just to hear it come out of your mouth, it did something to me. So so words of affirmation, I would say for me.
Awesome.
All right, so mine would be acts of service, and it's kind of funny because it seemed like physical touch and acts of service changed spots as I got older. And as life got a little bit more hectic, and you want to tell me you love me, take some of this stuff off my plate. Like that's what it is, because it's so much you juggle in life. You just really want somebody to come in here and be willing to just give to you. And I guess the thing that's crazy about it is that you want to love somebody the same way you get loved. So, and oftentimes you got to really know who the person you're with or the people around you, that they may not receive love that same way. So you got to kind of adjust to, like Mike said, I'm not a words of affirmation person because that's just something that I've always been told when I was younger by my grandmother stuff. So I got fed in that area, and I also got a lot of hugs, but I didn't really gear towards that. So for example, if somebody's a acts of service person, you definitely want to kind of adjust so that you can give words of affirmation so that person feels the same love. And that's why I think oftentimes people get off the same wavelength when they are not communicating the person the way that they want to be loved.
I would say that book changed my life, honestly, man. I'm an only child, so I just didn't have a lot of, I guess, in-house practice on different personalities and stuff like that. But words of affirmation is by far my top tier. Like you could do the dishes for me or not. I couldn't care less. Tell me I look nice while I'm doing the dishes, and we're gonna have a whole different conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that in my life. I need you guys, and I think it comes from how I was raised. Like, my mom was just always big on, like, complimenting me or telling me whatever it is that she appreciated. It was always verbal. I'm very physically affectionate. Like I actually got like 3 top tiers. Like my physical affection, gifts, and words of affirmation are all up here, and everything else is like a 0 or a 1. Like I couldn't care less if you never did nothing for me. As long as you tell me I look good and touch me while you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like my wife know what's up. Just talk to me and touch my body somehow. We're gonna be all right. So, but that's me. But my wife is absolutely acts of service. Like nothing else on the scale even matters. Once we had kids, everything in her life, like we took it when we first got married, and then again later on after the kids, just like you, man, it shifted. It went straight to it's all acts of service now. Like, look, help me do these dishes.
Right.
Take something off my plate. Let me think I had some laundry to do and come home and it's folded. Oh yeah, that's love right there. That's the love.
And can I add to that? After hearing you guys talk about love, I'm a big the acts of service for me. I like to give. I serve a lot, so it's one thing to say to somebody, you know, I love you. So hearing those words, it sounds good, but show me that you love me, like you said. And you can tell me all day long that you love me and keep beating me, keep abusing me, and your words mean nothing then.
Right.
So it's, you know, love. It's a word, yes, but it's also action, and your actions speak a whole lot louder than your words.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. My big things is physical touch and words of affirmation. And it's kind of funny because it's kind of opposite of kind of what y'all said, because I really didn't get that. So that's what I yearned for. The physical touch and the words of affirmation. Just to be honestly open, like as I was growing up, I pretty much was, you know, told that I was fat, black, and ugly. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell you the truth that Notorious Big is my #1 rapper, because he taught me.
All the ladies.
You know what I'm saying? So he took it to
Black
a whole
and ugly
other
as
game.
ever. However,
I stay Gucci down to the socks.
to the socks.
You know what I'm saying? So he took me to a whole nother level. I was like, yo, if he can do it, I can do it. And it took words, and it took, you know, so being and it's a two-way street. Like I said, that's what I need. But that also at the same point in time, it took me to another road as far as I started looking for that attention and that love and that physical touch from any woman. It didn't matter, you know. So it's something that I need, but at the same point in time, it was somewhat bad. But yeah, I'm a physical touch, words of affirmation telling me that I look good and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I smell good. You know, I'm with that all day, every day.
Talk that talk.
You know what I mean? To say that.
So Demetrius brought up a good point about like when not getting that when you're younger, and how as he got older and he wanted to get that, and it didn't matter how he got it, pretty much, just from what I was hearing. So that brings me to a different question. We live in a society where men are glorified for having multiple sex partners. How does that impact their self-love, and how does the fear of commitment tie into that lack of love?
How does that affect their self-love?
Yes.
Well, for me, I'm married and divorced three times. And going back to the love question, just to lead up to this question here, like I said, it was like a drug to me, because I craved my father's love. So I was married to a woman that was pregnant by another man.
Wow.
That sounds crazy. And I knew that she was pregnant by another man, and I married her and took care of her pretty much during the entire term of her pregnancy.
All right, Joseph, come on.
I've never heard that before. But man, but for me, that it sounds insane, which it is insane, you know. But I needed somebody by my side. I was afraid to be by myself. And then fast forward, you know, till about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, you know, me really learning what it meant to love myself, learning that God loves me first. loving myself and loving thy neighbor as you love thyself. And if I love me, I wouldn't just sleep with someone. If I knew that I was causing damage to myself by sleeping with someone out of wedlock, not married to them, not only am I hurting myself, but I'm hurting that individual as well too. That's somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, but I'm hurting her as well too. So my responsibility in that was to learn how to control my stuff.
Right.
And so I really had to learn to love me. And I didn't know what that really looked like. Again, I'm a giver. I'm someone who would go to the streets and I would sit at home and make 100 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by myself and go serve them by myself to the homeless and the poor. And someone asked me one day, Mike, what do you do for yourself? I said, well, I couldn't answer the question. I literally started crying. And I wouldn't buy myself a Jumbo Juice. I did not know what it meant to love myself. And when I went to the Adidas outlet one day to buy myself a pair of shoes, I had $100 in my hand. I counted that money out. This was about 9 years ago. I counted that money out of my hand before I went into the store. I went into that store. I went down every tennis shoe aisle. I went down the golf shoe aisle, the basketball shoe aisle, the running shoe aisle. I had already saw the shoes I wanted about 30 minutes ago. That's how long I was in the store. And I'm not a shopper. But it was that hard for me to pick those shoes up for myself. And when I picked those shoes up for myself and walked out the store, I got in my car, you would have thought somebody died because I cried like a baby. And I was a grown man. But that self-love, though, me learning to love myself and how to treat me, then I could know how to treat whoever it was in my life, that I would meet. But if that answers your question, if it ties into your question at all.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna chime in on that once I get these kids in the house.
Well, I'll go ahead and go to.
You hit the nerve on that one, brother. Trust me.
Man, and oftentimes, man, I'll just piggyback on what Mike was saying. I'm not as much as you, Mike, because I've dedicated my life to my children and stuff like that, and I was married for years and all those different things, and I did put myself on a back burner. I didn't feel bad for doing for myself. I just didn't have to do, And then oftentimes, in those situations as a father, man, it's just like you're just supposed to do that. It ain't really no recognition and ain't none of that. It's just something that you do in life. And so you find yourself just giving, and it ain't just in a committed relationship. You just find yourself as a man wanting to provide. And I mean, even the structure of our body is meant to be a giver to a woman, you know what I'm saying? So if you just look at everything about it is, a giver.
I'm glad you kept it like PG, like up here.
That's something I need to get you kicked off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So we want to keep the song station on, inspiring people. But the other thing is, man, how I couldn't really see. I don't know, some reason in my brain I couldn't put it together with commitment issues and self-love. But what I did see in myself is the reason why I had commitment issues is just my relationship. My previous relationship, so it was a lack of trust more than a self-love thing. My self-love thing was something that I just had to develop as a man, and and learning who I was in life and finding my way. It wasn't really, I couldn't connect it with a relationship. I had connected it with myself and my journey. And so in that though, but what I could definitely say my lack of commitment came down to really just my lack of trust to people. Like trust is earned, not given, you know what I'm saying? So I would give my trust to you, but can I get it in return? So a lot of times if I didn't feel like it was 100 with on both ends, I was like, well, this ain't something that I just got to dead that situation. You know what I'm saying? When I was dating. So couldn't connect the two, but that is definitely my lack of commitment was just my lack of trust.
So boy, this I was hoping that we would get to this question. So I spent almost all of 2020 in therapy. And I'm a huge advocate for therapy, especially for men. My goodness.
Amen.
So, I'm telling you, it was life-changing. So anyway, one night, actually, I'm praying before I go to sleep. I'm like, Lord, why is it I keep starting and stopping these eating and workout regimens over the past 5-6 years? Why can't I stick with it? Why is it I stick with all this stuff? Like, I work these crazy hours for my job. I'm on so many different committees and stuff at church. Like, I got all these obligations and volunteerisms that I'm doing for everybody else. Why won't I do these things, these two things, this eating and this workout stuff? Why can't I stick with that? I ain't hear nothing that night. The next morning when I woke up, I'm talking about the moment I was conscious, like my eyes open, but I was like aware of my surroundings. You know, when you awake, but you ain't up yet. I heard as clear as day, you don't love yourself. Like, I'm talking about, like, had nobody said hello, good morning, or nothing. I opened my, like, I was awake. You don't love yourself. I'm like, that's how we wake up now? Like, that's what we doing, Jesus? So now, mind you, I'm a person who has pretty significant confidence in myself. So I'm like, oh, this can't be right. Like, I think I'm the bomb. Like, ain't no way I don't love me. So as the day goes on, I have to be real with myself. I'm like, this is Jesus talking to me. Like, I'm not going to argue with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit tell me something. That's what it is. So let me see what he's saying. So I started thinking to myself. So I had this, I guess it's a motto, like a philosophy, which is love isn't love until you give it away. Like, you have an affection towards somebody, all that stuff. None of that means nothing until you actually are doing something to express that love towards them. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you having all that love inside of you is useless. Love isn't love until you give it away. So I started thinking to myself, okay, love isn't love until you give it away. And the Holy Spirit was like, well, what do you know about love? Okay, love is patient. Love is kind. You know, love is giving. You know, in King James Version, the Bible literally charity. Like, it's so much love that it's giving. You know what I'm saying? You love people, so you make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and you go serve these people. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, and he asked me straight up, he's like, now, do you do those things for you? And I was like, no, I absolutely do not. I absolutely do not. There's not an iota of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't give myself the same patience and mercy that I give other people. Like, if somebody else messed up, I'm like, bro, you gonna be all right, man. Look, we're gonna pray, we're gonna get you back on track. We got you. If it's me, I'm like, yo, you worthless, you stupid. How could you blow it like this? You should be better than that, and all this stuff, right? And so, and it's not because I had a negative image of myself. It's just simply I didn't love me. And I realized, like, bruh, I've been saved for like 20 years. I grew up in church, but I mean, like, as an adult on my own, you know, accordance and cognizance, like, yo, okay, I committed my life to Christ at like 21, 22 years old. I'm like, yo, I've heard thousands of hours of preaching on how to love others. I ain't never in my life heard a message on how to love myself. Not once. And I found one once I got to this point. Like, Dr. Miles Monroe has a series on it, and it was also life-changing. You know what I'm saying? But I'd never heard it. And so there's a scripture where somebody asked Jesus, like, yo, what's the greatest commandment? He was like, listen, the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your soul, with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength. And the second one is like unto it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. The word as in the Greek literally means to the exact same measure. And I don't know why this part never gets taught. Love them to the same measure you love you. Basically, the standard by which you love them is how you already love you. And I never had that revealed to me before. And so I asked my therapist, and I know I'm going on, but I told you this is the part I was most eager to talk about. So I'll wrap up.
Listen, because this conversation already got real good. I don't even know what the next question
I'm telling you, yo, I'm telling you, it changed my life. Like, I spent the whole year working on this. Like, I'm basically, we'll get to that. So I told my therapist about the workout thing, and yo, she looked me in the face. It was 2 times I wanted to actually put hands on my therapist, and it was both in the first session. Cause I'm like, you don't know me enough to be talking to me like this. Like, I don't appreciate your tone. Words of affirmation, dude. How you say what you say can get you knocked out. You know what I'm saying? In Jesus' name. So in Jesus' name. So so she said to me, like, I told her about, you know, childhood traumas that I had suffered and things of that nature. And you know, if we get there, we get there. But in essence, you know, I had like 3 significant childhood traumas that all happened between the age of 4 and 6. And so she told me, she looked me dead in the face. We on the camera though, because it's like quarantine therapy, right? She looked me dead in the face and she was like, well, no wonder you don't love yourself. Everything that happened to you between 4 and 6 showed you that you had no value. What? I slap everybody who looked like you. Say something else. I paid for this. I paid to get talked to like this. You don't know me.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cut. But it was so direct, and she was so accurate though. Like I had to acknowledge she's right. She's absolutely right. There's some terrible things that happen. You know what I'm saying? And it shaped a thought process of you don't have any value. Therefore, everyone else is more important than you are. You know what I'm saying? And so when it came down to, well, why will I quit these workout regimens? Like, why if one of y'all asked me to be available at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, I'll be there on time with donuts and orange juice to make sure whatever we about to do, we got the energy to do it. But if it's me, I'm gonna hit the snooze and get up at 10 and just won't even try to get back to whatever I was getting up for at 6. And she was like, you deem that they're worth it. You also deem that you are not. So you'll sacrifice your sleep for them. You won't sacrifice your sleep for you. And I was like, that's the I'm going to slap her. I'm like, I don't know you well enough for you to keep talking to me like this. That's one thing I do know. And I'm not going to keep paying to get talked to like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not what I signed up for. But those were two of the most groundbreaking revelations that God gave me through another person. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I thank God for my therapist. She rolled with me through. I suffered from depression for like 10 years, and the average person would never know it. Mm-hmm. Never know it, because I'm very extroverted. I'm very I'm real, like, I'm giddy all the time. Like, I never was a smoker or a drinker, because the place that people used to get high to get to, I lived there. You know what I'm saying? So that's my natural state. So I'm always optimistic. So you would never know. But I knew, you know what I'm saying? I knew that with all the great things that were happening in my life, I was still unhappy. My life was dope. My marriage was dope. My kids is dope. Church life dope. Family dope. Most money I ever made at the job I'm working. Like, life is dope. I was unhappy. And I was unhappy because I'm pouring out all this love for everybody else on an empty cup, and I'm not even loving me first. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then I also was walking around with these unresolved childhood traumas that I didn't realize were still affecting me in a 40-year-old body. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea stuff that happened from 4, 5, and 6 had shaped so much of how I perceived the world. You know what I'm saying? That I became a people pleaser, because as long as I can make you laugh, or I can make sure you have a good time, or I can make sure that I bring value to your life, you won't hurt me and you won't leave me. You know what I'm saying? So I got these fear of abandonment, these fear of, I was physically abused, I was sexually abused. So I got these things that make me say, well, as long as I can keep you happy, the bad stuff won't happen to me. And it shapes you. You start doing it as a child, but you don't realize how much adulthood still plays like that. So I'll be there for you. I'll wake up early for you. I'll stay late for you. All that for you, so that tomorrow we still friends.
So you don't leave.
Or that when I need you, so you don't leave me, because I can't deal with the abandonment. That abandonment is crazy.
Abandonment is real.
And that's something that me and Chantel talked about on, the video that we did. Like, I talked about it, like, my mother, in my mom's defense, she thought it was the right decision, but to a 4-year-old, bro, like, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? And so, she kind of dropped me off to stay with a relative, but everybody else knew I was staying except me. So we flew from one state to another state. My uncle come pick me up. I'm thinking I'm going to his house to get ice cream and hang out. When he take me back to my auntie house later that night, my mama already back in the other state.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? I don't understand why everybody's being so calm about this. Like, there's something tragic has just happened. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea that created this fear of abandonment, which has me so focused on pleasing everybody else at the cost of making sure I'm good. And then it gets reinforced, unfortunately, through the majority of scripture that gets taught in regards to loving others. See others as more important than you. Humble yourself, and all these other things about exalting other people, and they're good in context. But the context is knowing that you should already love yourself as a default. But that part wasn't being expressed to me. So here I am further burying myself to make sure everybody else is straight. And by the time I hit 40, bro, it's just a breaking point. I'm like, I've never had a suicidal thought a day in my life, thank God. But I did often wonder, what's the point of being here? Like, I never thought I'm gonna take myself out, but I also was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this is the purpose. And I got, man, I love my sons more than I can verbalize, man. I love my wife. Everything in our life is great, but they're not enough. They're not enough when you don't love you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter what they do, how good they do it, what they don't do, how bad they don't do it, whatever the case may be. If you don't love you, especially as a man, dog, like, because there's so many people, like, we already walk around. Man, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm taking up so much of this time.
Bro, talk, man. You speaking the truth, bro.
Talk to me, bro. Talk to me.
We already walk around with this persona, like this unspoken auspice of responsibility for everything that we're involved in. We automatically shoulder stuff. It's like, if I tell you that I'm gonna be a part of whatever you're doing, I'm taking just as much responsibility in its success as you are, even if you're in charge of it. Because we innately don't want to fail. We have a fear of failure. We don't ever want to be seen as unsuccessful, or that we put our hand to something and we didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So, which is another thing that beats me up, because I'm like, here I am starting these workout regimens over and over, and I'm me talking to me, you're failing at this. You're failing at getting in shape. You're failing at losing weight. You're failing at sticking to it with some discipline, or whatever the case may be. So we walk around with this auspice of responsibility already. So we already feel like people are depending on us, no matter what it is that we're a part of. We feel like, because you invited me, I'm supposed to bring my portion, and I'm supposed to bring it heavy. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm walking around with that already. And it makes it, that already has a weight of its own. So then you're trying to love all these people around you properly, but at the cost of, I'm not taking the time to do the things that make me innately me. I'm 40 years old. I'm a songwriter. I'm a poet. I like singing. I like creative stuff. I'm an artist to the core. Like, I'm messy. Like, my wife, thank God for my wife, or my house would never, I pay people to clean my house, but I'm not going to do it. Like, I would rather divert my attention to something else. But like, I love creative stuff. And I had laid all that stuff down to rise the ranks in my corporate job, because that's what was going to pay for my family the best. That's what all these things, I suppressed everything that made me me, in order for everybody around me to get from me what they needed from me. So I'll lay down my own stuff so that y'all can get what y'all need from me, so that ultimately y'all won't leave me. Even though y'all know y'all wasn't gonna leave me, I don't know that. You understand what I'm saying? So what's driving my behavior is not just my affection for you. Yeah, my affection for you, my love for you is genuine, but it's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? And to be real, you should want a love from me that isn't motivated by a fear of losing. You understand what I'm saying? You should want a genuine overflow of my own love for you. You know what I'm saying? So again, man, I apologize for running off on that, but that was such a pivotal point in my life, of coming into the understanding of that I didn't love myself, and how it was affecting all the other areas of my life, that when I get the opportunity to speak on that to other brothers, like, I'm a pit bull off the leash. Like, I can't wait to tell that story, because I feel like so many other people are experiencing. Like, I've talked to other brothers my age who are married, and most, I had kids late. I ain't had my first kid till I was like 33, 34. And so, like, most of my homeboys, like, their kids is about grown. And so, like, they really, my kids are almost grown. Me and my wife been married 15, 20 years, and I have no idea what I'm doing with myself. Yeah, I make a lot of money. I do this at work, but I feel like life is pointless. I don't have no purpose. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm like, bruh, we need to talk about you loving you, because I guarantee you, somewhere down the line, as a father and a husband, you laid down the things that make you you, to become what your family needed you to be in order for them to succeed, but it cost you yourself. And now you're looking at yourself in the mirror like, I don't know this cat. I don't like this cat. I don't even know why this cat is here. And for somebody who does have an inclination for suicidal thoughts, that's a super dangerous place to be. Super dangerous place to be. And I've come across so many brothers in the last year having these kinds of conversations with like, bro, you speaking to my heart right now. And I'm like, well, then let's talk about it. Let's get this out before I do read about you, like thinking you straight. And then I read about you in the newspaper the next day. Like I can't do that. So if I get the opportunity to tell this story, I'm telling it every time.
Yeah. You like me,
And that's
brother.
what a lot of us.
I can go for hours encouraging men now because I know how it feels not to love myself. You know, I saw my brother a couple months ago. It was about 8 months ago, and he called me, "Hey, man, I tried killing myself last night. Can you come see me at my job?" I went to his job. He had his arm all wrapped up. He unbandaged everything, showed me the wound in his arm. And when I say, bro, I could took 2 fingers and stuck it in his arm. That's how deep he cut. So he works on, he's a vet assistant. So he knows how to stitch up things, wounds. And he cleaned himself up, you know, but man, just not knowing what it means to love yourself. I said, man, you got to find what makes you happy. You got to make what brings you joy. And the thing that turning point for me, bro, my ex-wife used to always tell me, she would threaten me. She would threaten me and say, hey, you know what? We're not meant for each other. We should go our separate ways. But she knew that the whole abandonment thing, I didn't want her to leave me, bro. As a grown man, I would get on my knees and beg that woman not to leave me. I can say it now, but at the time, it was embarrassing at the time. I can say it now. I would beg her. And bro, 10 years later, she said it to me one day. And she said, we should be true to ourselves and go our separate ways. And usually I would get on my knees and beg her to change her mind. And I walked outside and I stood up under a tree. I know that tree is to this day. It's in Gilbert, not far from where I'm living at right now. And I called my mom. Talked to my mom for a second. I prayed, went back in the house. I said, you know what? You're right. We should be true and go our separate ways. And instantly she said to me, well, you're just giving up. I said, well, you just said that just to manipulate me and to control me. Mm-hmm. And fast forward 5 years go by, we were in counseling talking about this. And I said to the counselor, I said, she would say those things to me, sir, because she knew she could control me. She could hurt me. I said,
by threatening to leave.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I said, imagine someone running a 100-yard dash and imagine me chasing her on a 100-yard dash. I have gone from state to state, city to city, chasing her, doing whatever, sacrificing my sleep, you name it, everything. I said, now as I have put the brakes on, I need her to come back towards me. And the only thing I was asking at the time was that you follow me as I follow Christ. I said, God, at one point, God was never really on the throne where he should have been in my life. She was. And I said, I have to take you down and put God where he belongs. I said, it makes me a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better son. And I said to myself, Lord, I have to do this for me first. And I have 3 children, 1 biological son, but I saw my son going through what I went through. And that really messed me up. You know, abandonment, not loving yourself, not having your dad in your life. And I said, I can't do this to my son, you know. So I just had to fix me. Like right now, bro, I say I used to cry when I would go to buy myself a Jumbo Juice. I'm not making this stuff up here. I used to cry. But if my wife wanted $1,000 or more, this is the true story. I would go work.
It's easy work.
Bro, I would do the double shifts. I would work 18 hours, come home, sleep for maybe an hour and a half, 2, get back up because I had to drive back to work. I saw my son when he would sleep at night when I got home. When I came back home the next day, he would sleep again because I was doing double shifts. But I wouldn't stop and get myself a drink. And I asked her one day, can I get a meal, a hot meal, anything? She said, no. I said, you will not cook for me. But I said, I wanted that love reciprocated to me. And it wasn't, because I was loving whatever she needed, I got for her. I paid $12,000 in child support for a child that wasn't mine that I never saw. I paid another $8,000 in credit card that she blew behind my back. I paid another $100,000 I lost on my 401k. So 120 grand I lost just like that. But I never was bitter about it, you know. But as I never thought about committing suicide, never wanted to kill myself. My thing was stress. I wouldn't eat. At one point in time, I went from 185 pounds down to 165 pounds. And you would think that my girlfriend at the time / fiance would have noticed that, hey, I've lost all this weight. Are you okay? never stopped to ask me how I was doing or anything. You know, and I told the counselor that as well too. I said, sir, but I had to learn to love me. I had to learn to just take my health, my happiness into consideration. And
Yo, let me jump in here real quick, because you said a great point. You said you were giving out all this love that you wanted reciprocated. And that's the majority of people. The majority of people's baseline is, I'm going to give you what I want. And this goes back to what, I can't see everybody's names. I'm sorry, I'm doing it from my phone. But Chantel's brother was saying, like, most of us, we kind of give it the way we want it. You know what I'm saying? You got to adapt to giving people the way that they like it. You know what I'm saying? The way that they receive love the best. But one of the things I've come to understand is, you really don't crave that love from other people as much once you start loving you. You find fulfillment and you start to fill your own tank. So where if they take their love away, you still cool. Like someone still loves me. So if you don't, that's fine. Because I love me. Like we good out here. Like we smooth in the streets. Like I don't need, your stuff is icing. My cake is already, like I cook the cake. I bake the cake. You just the icing. I can eat me without you. You just make it a little better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that, like that makes a big difference, man.
We're going to have to go through some trials and tribulations and grow to better. And I came from a broken family. And like you were saying, Courtney, like you was being left, you know what I'm saying? I was talking to my mom and I asked my mom, I said, hey, why was you never